Welcome, everybody, to this special Russo'sBrand.com video podcast discussing TNA Impact Wrestling's The Final Deletion, Jeff Hardy versus Matt Hardy, the extravaganza that aired earlier this evening. I am Jeff Lane, and I am here, as always, with Vince Russo, and we are going to be not discussing Impact as a whole. We are just going to be discussing The Final Deletion, the entire Hardy saga, just that video footage. If you want to watch a review on Impact, Sharia will be doing one this week on the entire episode. Be sure to check that out. But like I said, me and Vince are just talking The Final Deletion. Vince had seen this ahead of time. He gave his thoughts without spoiling anything last night on our Raw review show. But now that it's aired, now that I've seen it, now that you've seen it, he's free to talk about it, to say his full thoughts on it. So I'm excited to hear his specifics on that, and you'll get mine as well. I don't know if you could tell, but by the smile on my face, but I enjoyed it. It's nice to come on here enjoying something that you saw in wrestling, excited about something that you saw in wrestling, and that's the feeling I got tonight watching it, Vince. So the hype and the praise that you and Glenn both gave it, I thought was well warranted.
Well, let me hear it, Jeff. What was your thoughts?
Well, I mean, there's two ways to look at it, too, because I think there was two different sides to the creativity. There was the physicality, obviously, with the extracurriculars, with the fireworks, with the tree, with the fire. But then there was also the writing and the story and the plot with the gardener doing the run-in, with Jeff Hardy getting drowned but then coming out of the water as Willow, and then him disguising the gardener as Willow, and all that stuff, and the stuff with the candle. So I thought that it not only was the physicality planned out well, but so was the actual story of the match with swerves and so forth. And I thought they were both very well done.
I knew, bro. Did you know the gardener was Willow? I knew.
No, I didn't. I should have. I mean, it seemed very obvious afterwards, but no, I didn't get that. I didn't catch on. But before we get into this, I just want to say I am glad that TNA stayed the course with this storyline, because after the first thing came out with the stuff at the house and the piano and the table, and everybody was making fun of it. It was the worst thing we ever saw. Everybody was blasting it. TNA could have listened to the internet and pulled the plug and said, no, we're not going to do it. But they stayed the course. They kept writing for TV, and this is the end result of that by them staying the course.
Well, Jeff,
So
I want to state for the record, we didn't blast it.
No, we didn't blast it, but you were kind of 50-50, because you said it was good if it was supposed to be campy, but if it wasn't supposed to be campy, then you thought it was bad. And I don't know if we ever decided if we thought it was supposed to be campy or not.
Yeah, no, I even asked Billy Corgan that, because I didn't know. Like, I didn't know if it was supposed to be campy or not, you know? I feel, though, bro, there was some parts of this tonight that were a little campy.
Yeah, but, man, I laugh. Like, that's why it's like I'm laughing at Matt Hardy the whole time. I love the accent. He's so ridiculous. He makes me laugh. It's funny to me. So whether it's meant to be campy or not, I take it as campy the way he's talking, and I laugh, and it cracks me up.
Jeff, I think one of the most enjoyable things was the music. You know what I mean? Because, like, I'm sitting here and I'm wondering, by watching this and listening to the music, did, like, Billy Corgan have to sit down and write this music while he was watching it? And I mentioned that to Glenn. And Glenn told me that, you know, JB's real good with music. So he thought Jeremy could have done it. But, you know, either way, that music soundtrack, you know, is kind of, you know, where I think I got the campy feel. And I'm not saying campy in a bad way, bro. I said last night I thoroughly enjoyed this. I don't know, bro. I have mixed emotions, though, after the fact, you know, bro, because I enjoyed it so much and I thought it was done so well. And, Jeff, I want to say this, too, because I had to say this today on Twitter. Bro, Lucha Underground has been doing this since day one. So, like, you know, I want to give credit where credit is due. You know, they really had the balls to think outside of the envelope. And when they started, it was, you know, unprecedented, the stuff that they were doing. This really, I think it's getting so much play for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think more people watch Impact than Lucha Underground, but also number two, because it was about an 18-minute story where, Lucha Underground maybe does something for 3 minutes, or so. So I think that's the difference, but I think we definitely need to point out that Lucha Underground has been doing this kind of programming for a long time. Yeah,
and also it had the Hardys in it, and besides Rey Mysterio, they have a bigger following, than anybody in Lucha Underground. I would think that's safe to say. So I think that played to the advantage of gaining the wider audience as well.
Jeff, I did not watch this within the context of the show. I watched it standalone last night. So I'm very, very curious within the context of the show, how did that play out going from this, extraordinary footage, off the charts, amazing, good, right back to the Impact Zone and another wrestling match? How did that play? How did that work together?
I thought they did it well because it opened with it. It opened with the birthday, with Maxwell and the candle and the cake and the xylophone. Like, come on, man, the xylophone. Like these little things just crack me up. That was the opening scene. A little while later into the show, you got the one with Jeff Hardy mowing his lawn. The drone comes in the house. We got that one, and then there was a third one for sure, where the senior man, now I can't think, the gardener, he was setting up the ring with all the for the massacre and stuff, and Rebby came out and talked to him, and that's when Matt Hardy gave him the can of gasoline. But then the referee, they showed the referee pulling up in a car. I think that was a separate one as well. But once the match started, that was the entire end of the show. The show ended with the end of that. So the entire start of the actual fight till the end was the end of the show.
But Jeff, were you feeling like when they started this movie off the top, and then they went into wrestling, and then when they went back to the movie, and then when they went back to wrestling, like, were you feeling like I want to see the movie? Like, I don't care about the wrestling in the Impact Zone. Like, did you feel that way at all?
Not really. I mean, it was kind of like how they did the last one, how they split it up throughout. You know what I mean? When they did the last thing at the Hardy Mansion, the one that everybody made fun of, they did it the same way. They pieced it in and out throughout the show. So it was kind of like that. Because, you don't know what's coming. So, but it made you excited, I think. Not only that, but knowing the way everybody was putting it over to want to see it. But I don't think the wrestling looked bad because of this. No, I don't think it affected it in a negative way.
Okay, so what's your feeling like going forward? Like, what do you think, Jeff? Because here's where I got a lot of mixed emotions. Like, I really, really do. And I want to discuss this. So what are yours?
Well, I don't think you can't come out and say we're going to top this every week. I don't think the financials, I don't know their situation, but from everything you've said, it's hard to do that financially. So I don't think that's going to be expected. But what they have to do now is, first of all, don't throw all your eggs into whatever this rating comes back to be this week, because this may be something where this might take a while for people to spread and they see it on YouTube. You might not get a great rating tonight. Hopefully they do, but even if they don't panic and take that as a bad sign and say, forget it, we're done. Stay the course. So that's the first thing. Don't change whatever the plan is based on the rating that comes in this week. And the second thing I would say is, you did something to attract attention. People will be interested, in my opinion, after watching this show. So there's two things. A, the finish of this has to be addressed at the beginning of next week's show. You have to start with this, I think, whatever it is, and it has to be interesting. And B, you can't go back to the same old Impact show. And we've both said it, Impact has been far and away better than Raw for the past 2 months or whatever, but it's still not a casual enough show to get people. So if you go back to that show, even though it's better than Raw, everything's better than Raw, it's not going to hold the audience. So I don't think they can go back to exactly what they're doing. They have to keep pushing the envelope as far as thinking outside the box, doing different things and writing good television and then putting the wrestling into that. So I think that's the big thing, is don't lose this audience that you gained by putting on a normal wrestling show next week.
You know, Jeff, it's funny because I think this piece had the three elements that we always talk about: the characters, the storyline, and the fight. That's what we always talk about. But here's where I'm struggling a little bit, bro, especially from a TNA perspective. Again, bro, because of the financials, I don't think they can present this type of a show every week. I just don't think they can. You know, Lucha Underground, you know, they have the budget to do it. You know, they're doing it like a television show. Obviously, bro, the WWE could do it. You know what I mean? I don't think TNA has the finances to be able to present wrestling this way on a weekly basis, just because of the financial burden that's involved. So, like, can they go back to that arena and still present characters, storylines, and a good fight to get it over to this level?
That's the thing, and I guess that's where it's going to be hard for them, just because of budgets. And you talked about the things that you weren't able to do there just because of financial reasons, and stuff had to get approved by the people running the building and all that stuff. So they have roadblocks as far as that goes. But I think creativity is creativity, and if you use it the right way, you use what you have, you can make people care. And because the biggest thing is to make people care about the people first. So if they care about these people, they're going to want to come back. So that's the thing. I think the people right now that would watch tonight's show, they care about Matt Hardy, they care about Jeff Hardy, they care about Rebby, they probably even care about Maxwell, because like you pointed out to me, with the baby even had the streak in the hair, which was phenomenal. So I think they care about those people. Now, watching the rest of the show tonight, like I said, we're not going to go through all that show, but did they care about any of the other people in this episode at the end of the night besides the people in the final deletion? So that's the first thing. I don't know. I'm not going to go through it, but I don't know if they did enough there. So they have to get people invested as soon as possible in the other people on the show. And I think where that kind of hurt tonight, with this being taped separately, and it was probably taped even after this episode was taped, they probably didn't know it was going to be in it, but the rest of the cast in the arena, it would have been nice if they were responding to this, you know what I mean? Or they were talking about this, or the entire show revolved around it in some way backstage. I think that would have helped. Obviously, that wasn't possible, so that's just kind of, hindsight 2020 deal. But they got to get the people invested in the entire roster, not just the Hardys from this. So I think that's gonna determine where they go from here, and especially and I'm gonna let you take over here after this last comment, but with SmackDown coming on Tuesdays, a lot of people think this is bad news for TNA. I'm kind of on the flip side. I think with the track record WWE has done for the last 2.5 years with their creative, people are going to turn into SmackDown. It's going to be typical WWE. They're going to flip. They have a chance to find TNA and get excited by TNA. So I think that maybe TNA has a chance to steal the audience if they move forward in the right way.
Man, bro, I got to tell you, I went there tonight and I worked with, Mercury Pro. I go on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I had to produce a lot of pre-tapes, bro. And like all I kept thinking about was like seeing this yesterday, and here I am shooting wrestling pre-tapes. And bro, it was really, really tough because like obviously like on that level, you can't do that. You know what I mean? I mean, bro, you just can't. I mean, like, forget it. It's not even a thought in your mind. But I kept thinking about what they did that I thought was so effective. But then I was like, okay, bro, let's get to the reality of this. And, I mean, I certainly couldn't produce it, at that level. And like I said, bro, I don't think they're going to be able to produce that at a TNA level either. And I don't know, bro. Like, man, they just put something out there that was really, 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 really good. And the bar has been raised so high. Woof, I don't know. Yeah, I was talking to Disco about this, and Disco goes, well, Jeremy will come up with something good, like every week. Bro, that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Bro, I would hate to know the amount of time they put into that. I mean, I can only imagine the amount of that was not done in 5 minutes, bro.
Oh, look at the lawn. The lawn looked like that was a real lawn.
Yeah, bro. Why do you think the Lucha Underground seasons are so? They have an off season. The seasons are so far apart. That's why. On a weekly basis, bro, forget it. Like there's absolutely no way. And bro, there is no doubt in my mind, and I'll say this right now. There is no doubt in my mind that the WWE is ripping this off with their Bryant New Day gimmick. There's no doubt in my mind, bro. Oh, it's just coincidence now that we're going to go have a fight on the Wyatt turf. They definitely caught wind of this. I'm sure somebody somehow got a copy of it. They watched it. And, this is going to be, they're going to show, well, that TNA production was Mickey Mouse compared to what we can do. But I hate to break the news to the WWE, and this is the truth. There's no Jeremy Borash working at the WWE.
Yeah, this was definitely not Mickey Mouse. And there was a lot of good special effects. I want to know what your favorite was, but my favorite was the drone with the Matt Hardy hologram coming out of it and him talking. I thought that was brilliant, man.
I like Jeff beating the drones with the guitar. I thought that was awesome, bro. I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
but when he was on the motorcycle and they were still in pursuit and he was swatting them away, I thought that was phenomenal.
What you asked me what they need, so okay. What do you think they need to do now next week? I mean, I don't know if it's already taped or not. I don't read the spoilers because I like, if I'm going to watch TNA, I want to watch it with fresh eyes. But what do you think they need to do next week to capitalize on this?
Bro, if it were me, because, bro, you just can't show up at that Impact Arena and have an in-ring and, Reba, is it Rebby?
Rebby, yeah.
What's the baby's name? Maxwell, and she's carrying Max. It can't be that. It can't. Bro, if it were up to me, bro, I would probably get us kicked out of Universal because I would have them fighting all over that freaking theme park. I would, and I would get my hands slapped later, and I would get in trouble later. Bro, if it meant them being arrested and spending a night in jail, whatever, like that's what I would do. You know what I mean? And bro, listen, again, I worked with Universal. I know what that involves, but it's gotta be, bro, it's gotta be a spectacle. Like it's got to be a spectacle. But bro, how embarrassing putting this side by side, the food fight, like the day after.
I got several tweets from brand members with that exact comparison tonight while this was going on. Like they're putting this on, and then we got a food fight, the prior night, and it's just like one show's written for toddlers and one's written for adults. One show does not have much effort. One has a lot of effort. And you can poke holes in TNA show just as much as you can in WWE. But in my opinion, the effort is not even close. TNA's effort is so much more than the effort WWE's putting in. And I'll always, you know, if I see effort, I'll enjoy a show, even if there's something I don't like on it, because I know that there's effort and they're trying something. You know what I mean? And you get that with TNA and on WWE, you get you know, these grown men throwing food at each other and hiding under tables. I mean, I don't know.
Bro, I'll be honest. I thought some of the worst parts about this was, you know, some of the actual spots in the match.
You know, you had said that to me, so I was watching for it, and I have an opinion why, but I want to hear your take on it first.
Well, bro, again, it all goes back to the campy for me. If this was supposed to be campy and kind of wink, wink, the bad, obvious wrestling spots work. It works if that was the idea. If this was blink, blink, campy. So like, you know, again, bro, it really depends on what they were going after. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I kind of think maybe they were, because the referee, like Matt Hardy invited the referee to this place. I want you to count to 1, 2, 3. So like, I feel like that was supposed to be campy to get people to at least accept the fact that they're having a wrestling match in the middle of all this. But I think what hurt it and what made it seem more like wrestling than a fight is the way they mic'd that ring, man. They do it the same way in the Impact Zone, that you hear every single step in the ring is so loud, and it just sounds like I don't know. I can't take the sound that, if you watch the show and you hear the sounds, I think that kind of contributes to the phoniness of it, is the sound, the way the ring.
Jeff, let me ask you this, because I was thinking about this too, because I've been, you know, kind of thinking about this today. Bro, did they need a ring?
I think they did, as far as probably for scenery, because they had the torches coming out of each ring post. The camera got, one of the camera guys was kind of hidden behind the ring. You know what I mean? If the ring wasn't there, you would have just seen a guy standing there with the tripod, I think. But I think they needed it as far as what they wanted to do. Jeff Hardy, I don't think, is going to jump out of a tree onto a ladder and a swanton if he's going to land on a hard ground instead of a ring. You know what I mean? So I think they needed it for the stuff that they wanted to do. You know what I mean? The moves.
Yeah.
But I think that also added to the whole spectacle of the thing. It's just not a bunch of guys out in a field fighting with stuff. I mean, there's a wrestling ring in it, so it's spectacle now, and they're shooting the fireworks through it. And so I like the ring. Yeah, I don't think it would have been better without the ring. I don't know.
And the feedback has been positive thus far, you think, huh?
From that I've seen on Twitter, yes. From brand members to professionals. Mick Foley loved it. JR loved it. You know, you go across the spectrum of everybody that's got different philosophies of wrestling. It seemed like everybody liked it, and that's always a good thing. You know, I don't even know if I had one brand member tell me that they didn't like it. I was getting a lot of tweets tonight. I got the most tweets tonight I've ever gotten, probably this entire year, after a wrestling event, from this, and that's including WrestleMania. More people, I mean, my Twitter was blown up from brand members, and I loved it because they all wanted to talk about this, and that's what wrestling's been missing, something to talk about.
Yeah. Just give them something to talk about. Yeah, bro, that's it. Just give us something to talk about, bro. That's what we've always said, bro.
Yep. So I mean,
just
I know,
give us something to figure out, baby.
I know you've been working.
Give them something to talk about. Talk about the Hardys. Yeah. That's all.
Sure,
that's all we want. Something to talk about, bro. Something to talk about.
Yeah,
I told you, bro. I emailed every one of them in Impact today, and I said, congratulations. That was the best piece of business I've ever seen. Better than anything I've ever done. Hats off, bro. Hats off.
Yep. And it's one of those things. If I was in high school tomorrow.
Water cooler.
Exactly. Yeah, I'd want to be talking to my friends about this.
Yep.
So that's a good thing. And I'm sure when you finally get onto your Twitter, I'm sure yours is blown up as well. You hadn't been on it because you were working with the Mercury guys tonight. But,
personally, I think a lot of people today were probably talking about a golden truth against the vaudevillians. Probably.
Oh, yes, that's true. That's true. But yeah,
bro, it's really scary. Like literally, bro, let's call a spade a spade. You're talking about comparing the mind of Jeremy Borash to Vince McMahon. I mean, bro, like seriously, like really? You know what I mean, bro? That's embarrassing, bro. That's embarrassing. Like that, bro. I've worked with Jeremy for a long time, and if Jeremy Borash is listening to this, bro, why wasn't this kind of production put into Bitch Slap? Because if this kind of production was put into Bitch Slap, both Jeremy and myself would be multi-billionaires by now. But I mean, my God, bro, I've known Jeremy for a long time. I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back now, bro. Go all the way back to WCW in 1999. And I personally invited Jeremy on the creative team because I could see something there. But man, bro, for a Jeremy Borash to run circles around a 70-year-old Vince McMahon, bro, I'm just going to say this. If I was Vince McMahon, I'd be embarrassed. Yep. If I was Vince McMahon and, this is the third generation, whatever it is, and I had that food fight less than 24 hours later and I saw this the next night, I'm firing everybody on my staff. I'm firing. Bro, this reminds me of taking the Raw magazine and throwing it on the table and saying, this is what my show should look like. Vince McMahon needs to look at what they did at Impact tonight and say, this is what our show needs to look like. But you know why they won't, Jeff?
Nobody has the balls to say it.
They don't care.
No,
they don't care. They don't care, bro. They got their network.
There's always multiple choice answers for that.
No, bro. They got their network. They're making their millions of dollars. They got a deal in China. They still get their 3.5 million people on Raw, no matter how bad it is. They don't care. And I've been saying that, bro, forever. There's no pride, bro. I'm working with these kids at Mercury, and I want every pre-tape to be the absolute best it could be because, bro, 5,000 people may watch online. I don't care. I don't care if it's 5,000 or 5 million. I want these kids to look the best that they can. Freaking, you're going to sit there and tell me Vince McMahon makes Dean Ambrose look the best that he can? Vince McMahon makes Reigns look the best that... No, he doesn't. He doesn't, bro. But they don't care.
And let's also not forget the most important part of this whole thing, and those are the two guys that were in this whole thing,
and Rebby
exactly. But and the fact that these guys, 18 years since they officially were a main roster team on the WWE, and they're just as relevant, if not more relevant now than they ever were in 2016. The best wrestling television in 2016 came from the Hardy Boys. You know what I mean? So the fact that they can do this now after being around for so long and reinventing themselves, I think that's remarkable. You mentioned Rebby. She was great in this, the way she added to the story. The Gardner, the Gardner is over like you wouldn't believe on Twitter right now. They love that there's even a Twitter account for him with all of his things he can do. He can fertilize, do all this stuff, and then Massacre was his last trait because Matt Hardy told him to go set up for Massacre or whatever it was. So.
Good for them, bro.
Good for them.
When is the last time we talked about something this much? I can't remember, bro. Nope. I can't remember. I can't remember.
No, the last time we got excited was when Seth Rollins got injured and there was going to be a tournament, but we got excited because of the stuff we thought that they could do and our ideas, and it ended up being crap. This is the first time I can remember that we got excited after actually watching something. So. Yeah.
Well, big congratulations, big applause TNA achieved what I think they set out to achieve. Bro, listen, I know they're aware that they've got to deliver on this. You know, I mean, I know they are. I'm not worried about that. I know JB is capable. You know, I worked with Conway. I know Corgan. I know they know all these things. I'm just saying, man, you know, you raised the bar pretty high. It's going to be tough. But like I said, knowing JB, knowing Corgan, bro, if you were telling me like Vince McMahon had to top this, I'd be like, bro, seriously, come on. You know what, bro? They're gonna have the fight. Here's gonna be Vince's big gimmick. They're gonna have the fight at the Wyatt House, and somebody's gonna take a bump in horse shit. That's going to be Vince's big thing, bro. And Vince is going to think that's hysterical and the greatest thing he ever saw. Meanwhile, bro, they should be strapping guys to trees. You know, they should be soldering their eyeballs out. I mean, I can't even tell you what the Wyatt should be doing to this New Day. But, you know, somebody's going to take a bump in a pile of shit, and Vince is going to be cracking up, and he's going to think it's the best thing he ever saw.
Yeah. But yeah, if I could give one piece of advice to TNA, it would be stay this course. Stay this course. Don't panic, because the biggest thing that I always took from you and your journey through the Attitude Era was how long it took for the ratings to change. But you always said Vince McMahon kept saying we worked damn hard for this 3 or whatever it was, and you losing to Nitro, but you stayed the course, and you went through with the plan, and eventually it paid off. So just don't. If I could say one thing to TNA is don't panic based on the rating. Just keep going this direction. Yeah,
tomorrow's rating is going to mean nothing. Yeah, and I'm saying that if it's the same rating, it doesn't mean anything, bro. It's just, again, man, bro, like I wish they really had the money to promote this right and get it out there and advertise it right. They did what they could with the budget they had. It's business, bro. You only got so much to spend. So, yeah, bro, you know, if that rating is normal, there's nothing to worry about, bro, because, you know, again, you know, they could only get it out there the best way that they could, you know?
Yep, and they got the material on their side, because this is something finally where the wrestling fans won't be embarrassed to call their casual fans to be like, hey, you need to see this. You know what I mean? I think people will be talking to people that don't watch wrestling, saying you need to see this, and that's going to take a while to get those people to keep coming back. But if that process starts, that's the step in the right direction. We've gone on enough. I'm done on this.
Yeah, me too. This is up for everybody, free to see. So if you're watching this, I ask you to check out russosbrand.com. That's our website. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go write something for it right now. Also check out our YouTube channel, also our daily shows on Podcast One. What's on Podcast One tomorrow, Jeff?
Well, if today, technically, probably by the time they watch this, will be our Attitude Show, where we cover September 21st, 1998. And then tomorrow will be Bucket Full of Chicken Necks. But we have a show 5 days a week on Podcast One.
And also you could check out our show on the Realm Network. That's on video, and it comes out a day early before the Podcast One show. And also there's exclusive video you can't get on Podcast One. All that information is at russosbrand.com. You could follow me on Twitter at @TheVinceRusso and follow Jeff Lane at JeffLane22. So there you have it. TNA, the final deletion. We hope you enjoyed it. We do. TNA, great job. Give credit where credit is due. I have no problem doing that whatsoever. We look forward to what you do in the next coming weeks and months. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you right here tomorrow.